So I set up sort of a little, I set up a little bit of eBay business. I had a shop on eBay selling different bits and bobs, and I was making quite a good earning from that. But this is when I started to get involved with street life because I was so hungry for the money. I just wanted more and more. And I tried making, you know, a bit of money on the streets as well as eBay. And it all became a bit too much for me, really. When I got into year 3 of university, about a term in, you know, it just got too much, and I sort of shut down. I had a bit of a breakdown, if you like, because I couldn't juggle everything at once. Like I said, I wasn't living at uni at this time. I was commuting, and it all just got a bit too much for me. So after suspending my studies at uni, I was sort of left to manage the two things that I was still doing, which was a bit of eBay and a bit of, you know, making money on the streets and hanging around with a bad crowd. Obviously, having gone to uni, a lot of people, you know, I was quite a very sort of sociable person, and I really enjoyed the sort of social aspects, which sort of led me away from the eBay money and more towards the money I was making on the streets. And over sort of the end of college and the start of university, I'd got involved in drugs, you know, smoking a bit of pot here and there and taking some more hardcore drugs, going out partying, typical sort of uni lifestyle. So, you know, I got caught more up in the stuff on the streets than, you know, staying humble and doing my own thing at home. So now I'd found my feet a bit better. I had a nice bit of paper in my pocket, and my little moped license had run out, which wasn't really a problem for me at the time because my area was pretty good for sort of public transport and stuff. But, you know, I wanted to branch a bit further afield, so I decided to go and do my moped license again. When I went to go do my moped license, the guy informed me that, you know, they were changing the law, and if I wanted my full bike license, now's the best time to do it. And, you know, I was so sort of up on paper, I decided that I'm going to go for it. I laid down the paper and I got my full bike license in 3 days. I passed with no minors at all, straight pass, you know, and I think the day after I went out and bought a big bike, FZR 600. You know, I can do 0 to 60 in about 3.2 seconds, something like that. So, you know, I'm 21 years old, I've got a big bike, and this really sort of put me out there and you know, got me real sort of gassed up. You know, it was one of the best vehicles on the block, if you like, in my area. So as a means to sort of keep my bike on the road and do all these things, you know, I was getting deeper and deeper involved with crime, you know, different bits and bobs. It was very sort of varied. My area was very multicultural. I was involved with all the different sort of cultures, and they were all making money in different ways. So one day I was on the way to a nightclub. I had, you know, quite a lot of drugs on me. My intention was to go out and sell those drugs to make an income. So I was on the way to the nightclub and we got stopped by the police, unfortunately for me. Okay, so, you know, I got arrested. It was nothing new to me. I'd been arrested quite a few times before, but this time they caught me with quite a lot of stuff, and I was quite worried. And, you know, it was all sort of at a point in my life where everything was you know, bottom of the bottle. You could put it like that. So they took me to the police station. I was really sort of worrying about, you know, what they were going to find at my house, what they'd caught me with, the situation I'd been caught in. All of these things were, you know, playing on my mind, and I was really starting to sort of panic. You know, me and my mum's relationship had been broken down over the years because of the things that I was doing, and this could possibly be my final straw. So I was sitting there in the cell for about an hour, and I decided, I decided I was really sort of in a hole, if you like, and I felt like praying. I felt like, you know, I needed a bit of God in my life. I'd never made a prayer before, but I just felt like, you know, oh God, I'm in a situation right now that needs to be fixed. So I remember pressing the buzzer and asking the policeman for the Bible, because, you know, my mum, if anything, was Christian, even though she wasn't very practicing. So I remember I pressed the buzzer and I asked the police officer for a copy of the Bible, and he just laughed at me, to be honest. You know, he was laughing at me like I was some little kid in the wrong place at the wrong time. But, you know, being brought up by sort of a single parent, you know, I always wanted to be the man, and I knew I was more of a man than him. So the officer brought me the Bible. You know, I'd never even looked at a Bible before. I flicked through a couple of pages and I was reading the Bible, and it was really, really hitting me deep in the heart, really sort of sincere. I couldn't believe, like, I'd never read this book before, you know, and you know, it'd been spoken about so much. So, you know, I spent that night pretty much, in that one night, I probably read about a third of the Bible. And, you know, it hit me so hard that, you know, I decided to pray that night. And I made quite a few prayers about the situation that I was in. So yeah, I was released on bail. And I had a job in the airport as well. At this time I was working for Travelex in South Terminal, Gatwick. I remember it clearly. Now, you know, obviously I'd got a sort of a little connection with God at this time. And I remember thinking, I was actually on the way, it was my first day, I was starting Travelex. I was on the way to the airport in a taxi because I was running late just because I just got out of the police station. Literally that day I started this new job. So I was on the way to my new job in the taxi, and I'm thinking to myself, how can I ask God for help when, you know, I don't pray every day. I just prayed when I needed something, when I was in a bad place. So this thought was sort of pondering in my mind. Anyway, I got to the airport and I was walking towards Travelex. I noticed on my right there was a prayer room. So I decided on my lunch break, I'm going to go to the prayer room and check it out. So I went to the prayer room and I decided to pray again, just purely because of the thoughts that I had on the way in the taxi and whatnot, this and that. This sort of become, you know, a regular thing for me. Every day I went to work, I decided to pray. And I was improving my sort of connection with God. And I was meeting a lot of people in the prayer room that you wouldn't really think. I see a lot of Muslim people in there, and I noticed that they washed before they prayed. But, you know, I didn't want to become a Muslim. I was more interested in Christianity. Everything was new for me, and I was just happy with where I was at with the Bible. So at this time I was praying every single day, but my life, although I had a job, my outside life was going rapidly downhill. Everything was sort of crumbling and, you know, really sort of falling apart. I found myself using a lot of intoxicants at this time, and it was all just a bit peak for me, really. So yeah, there was one night when things were really sort of bad for me, and I decided I'm going to go check out my local church. So I remember I went up to the door. I tried to open it. It was about 10 o'clock at night, something like that, and it wasn't open. And I was thinking, like, you know, how come this place isn't open? I thought these places were open all the time. So I began to walk back home, and there was like a bench like halfway between my house and the church, and we used to call it the thinking bench. So I sat down there and contemplated my thoughts for a little while. And one old, well, he used to be a friend of mine, but we'd fallen out over a few things, money, girls, I can't really remember, probably drugs were involved as well. He walks past me and I'm thinking to myself, oh God, here we go, as if my day can't get any worse. It's going to kick off. And strangely enough, the brother comes up to me and he's been overly friendly with me, super friendly. And I'm thinking, what's this guy on? He's asking me how I am, how's my family? Like, he's never asked me that question before. And I'm thinking, what is going on here, yeah? So anyway, we began to chat for a little while, and he explained to me that, you know, it's Ramadan, he's a Muslim, you know, and he started apologizing for the things that had happened in the past, even though I thought in my heart that they were my fault. So, you know, he's apologizing, we're having this chat, and yeah, it really sort of hit me in the face at how nice he was being to me. I even had me thinking that maybe he's got an ulterior motive. But anyway, me and this brother started hanging out quite a lot, having some late night discussions, this and that. And I began sort of asking him questions about Islam. Obviously during Ramadan, he was really sort of practicing and into it. And he was really sort of gassed up by it, if you know what I mean. And, you know, it was a good time for us to meet because I just got on the praying and whatnot. And any questions I didn't know about Islam and he didn't know about Islam, he would go and ask his parents and they would tell him the answer and he would tell me the next day. So, you know, we both were sort of learning about Islamic things at this time. So I was really in sort of conspiracy theories, Illuminati, everyone's talking about Illuminati, I was hearing it in music and all of these different things, and I've been researching a lot of stuff, too much stuff probably, to be honest. I spent a lot of time on the computer researching all these things, alongside, you know, speaking to my friend and all of these things, whatnot. One day I'm on my way to the gym, standard thing, you know, hit a bit of gym, bit of sauna, bit of steam room, early morning vibes just to get me up for the day, ready and you know, prepared mentally. I'm on the way to the gym, I'm just listening to a couple of tunes or something, and I had this feeling. I was like, today's the day I want to become Muslim. I'm thinking to myself, where's that thought come from? You know, I was like, I don't want to become a Muslim, like, whatever. I tried to dismiss it anyway. obviously sitting in a sauna and a steam room, you got loads of time to think. And this thought keeps playing on my mind and playing on my mind, and I'm thinking, wow, where's this come from? So anyway, I left the gym, and I thought, you know what, I'll give that power a call and see what he says. So I give him a call and I told him, yeah, I want to become a Muslim, and you know, I had this thought that I want to become a Muslim anyway. He said, you know what, brother, come and see me and we'll talk about it further. So I went to go meet him. We spoke about it for a while. It was all a bit strange. I had this, you know, weird feeling inside of me, a very uplifting feeling. And we decided that was the day I was going to become a Muslim. So we went to the mosque. It was a beautiful day. We invited a few of my other Muslim friends. A couple of my friends who wasn't Muslim before had reverted to Islam as well, which was, you know, really shocking and strange. They come down, and I gave my shahada, alhamdulillah.
My beloved brothers and sisters, as Muslims, we are taught to have the best character and conduct in all situations. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sent as a mercy to the worlds, and his character was the Qur'an in action. He treated everyone, Muslim and non-Muslim alike, with respect, honesty, and compassion. When we act with good manners, patience, and humility, we are following his example and becoming a true reflection of Islam. Being kind and respectful to non-Muslims is not only a part of good character, but also a way to invite them to Islam. Many people have misconceptions about Islam, but when they see a Muslim who is honest, generous, and peaceful, it can open their hearts. A simple smile, a helping hand, or kind words can leave a powerful impact. Sometimes your behavior might be the only introduction to Islam someone ever sees. As ambassadors of Islam, our actions speak louder than our words. People watch how we treat others, how we do business, how we respond to anger, and how we help those in need. When they see that Islam teaches justice, mercy, and kindness, it makes them curious and inspired. They can lead them to ask questions, learn more, and even embrace Islam through your beautiful example. Always remember that guidance comes from Allah, but we have the duty to represent Islam in the best way. Treat everyone with dignity, regardless of their background or belief. Avoid harshness and arguments, and show them the beauty of Islam through your actions. Your kindness might be the reason someone finds the light of faith and becomes Muslim.